People wonder why I bother with my little Peugeot 107. Well, it was my late father's, and he gave me it when I fixed the engine because he'd realised when he was 89 and he'd gone deaf from old age that he wasn't fit to drive anymore, and that's why I'd blown the engine. But yeah, I mean, it's just a member of family, really, isn't it? That's all I bother with it for. But yeah, I mean, if you like expensive cars and stuff, it's up to you. I wouldn't say, people would say, some people think I'm rich, and I wouldn't say I was. I mean, well, yeah, we had an house and we owned it, but my dad built it for £2,300 in the 60s. I mean, yeah, you could do that in those days because, what, £2,300, he was on £18 a week, which is £900 a year. My mother was working. You could soon save up for the stuff to build it, the materials and the land. And that's the thing, it would have been £300 to have it built, and that was a lot in those days, but what, about a third of my dad's wage in it, well, possibly a bit, well, maybe half of a year's wage. But you could soon save up for that, you could do that, but you can't now. Because the prices, compared to wages, the price of houses has gone up fivefold since that time. I wouldn't even attempt to buy one. I'm nearly 60, it doesn't really matter to me. Don't need one. But yeah, I mean, if you like flash cars, yeah, and by all means. But I mean, most of the cars my dad had were like Austin Minis, and I remember when I was really excited in 1976 when we got a brand new Vauxhall Chevette E, the basic model. 1256, yeah. People said, yeah, that engine, it is like a pea in a bucket, and it was. It was like a 1300 Capri, a joke. But yeah, I mean, they only made like two Chevettes, a 1.3 and a 2.3, with the Chevette rally car engine in. But I mean, obviously we didn't go and, there wasn't a guitar shop in town. We used to go and stare at Chevette HSs. There weren't any RS2000s, but we used to go and stare at the Chevette HSs, and when HSRs came out, we nearly died. They were unbelievable. They kind of look like Porsche 944 Luxes, but they hadn't been invented then, I don't think. And yeah, I mean, my daddy mainly had Austin Minis, rusty old ones, a Woolsey on it. That was quite flash, actually, Woolsey on it. They were a posh Mini. Yeah, no, obviously, yeah, I mean, they had 4 gears, indicators. You didn't have to stick your arm out the window, and it was beyond the point where you had to operate a lever inside the car to lift a lever on the outside of the car to indicate, and eventually those had flashing lights on. Technology, I mean, it advances, doesn't it? Originally cars were called cars because they were actually called carriages, horse-drawn carriages. Yeah, well, horseless carriages eventually. Yeah, I mean, my nana was old enough to, well, she was born in 1896, and to come to our town from the local village, they just hired a horse and trap. I mean, there were cars then, about two in the county, I think. Well, when my dad was in his teens, or as a kid, there were 2 cars in the village he lived in, and they were owned by the mill owner, the only factory in the village. And now you can't move in that village for cars; they're everywhere. But yeah, technology on originally, Austin Minis didn't even have cushion springs in the clutch. So the gears, the idea of cushion springs is to stop crankshaft torsional vibration of it being transmitted into the gearbox and making the gears shatter by rattling against each other. And before that, they had straight cut gears that went along the gears, and they didn't spiral round. So that there were only 2 teeth in contact at the same time, one on one gear and one on the other. They're actually called helical gears because the helix round, they don't spiral round. And you have more than one pair of teeth in contact at the same time, and it stops the shattering. And the cushion springs are actually in the centre of the clutch. It stops it going like that, sort of in time the crankshaft. The last Minis, I think it was a Mark V, possibly some of the Mark IVs, I can't remember, had cushion springs in the clutch, and a clutch that was easy to get to. You didn't have to take the flywheel off the end of the crankshaft to get the clutch out, and the flywheel went onto a taper. So every time you pressed the clutch, it went further and further and further, and then hard, tighter and tighter and tighter. And you needed a puller to get the flywheel off the end of the crankshaft. And you'd usually just about wreck the first puller getting it off sometimes. Some people just say, hit him with a sledgehammer or a big hammer. Well, I tried that with a sledgehammer. I missed and smashed the flywheel out. And anyway, these things happen. Yeah, I mean, these people just say idler gears. I mean, they're always going. I never had one go, and I used to have an Austin Mini that did 80 miles an hour in second gear. It was always the gearbox that broke, because, the input gear was fastened on the end of 4th gear with a big nut. The input gear was on the outside of the gearbox case, and 4th gear was on the inside. And 4th gear, because of the angle of the teeth, would wind in and out of mesh if it came loose. So, well, if you put a constant mesh gearbox in 2 gears, it locks it up solid. That's how you tighten the nuts. But that's the thing. if you're in first gear and you get your floor and it goes into fourth at the same time, fourth winds into mesh and smashes the synchro mesh completely. And there was one of these gearboxes I took to bits and I thought, what's all that lithium grease in the bottom of the gearbox? It's my bark rings. Anyway, yeah, I mean, it was fun, but while it lasted. You could go down the motorway in second gear and break the speed limit. It was great fun. And out accelerating a really powerful car, a Cavalier SRI 130, a Cavalier 130 brake horsepower. That was quite a powerful car then, because the works Chevettes, well, the road going versions were only 135, and the Cavalier was bigger. But yeah, I mean, it was great fun out accelerating that from like 50 to 90, 80 in second, 90 in third. He came howling past me at 150, and I thought, no, you don't do that on the public road, mate. And I was doing 90 to get past those cars safely, and he couldn't keep up with me. You'd think he was stood still and I'd put my foot down, but no, I mean, I only speed if I have to, like, to get past cars and that if it's not safe. And yeah. I mean, the technology is sort of unreal now. And actually, my mother was an Austin A30. My mother learnt to drive in 3-speed, straight cut gearbox, no synchro mesh. You had to double D clutch all the time to get them to go into gear. Anyway, yeah, I mean, it's what you're used to, isn't it? Bogies, and then go-karts. Yeah, a bogie with pedals, and then a pedal car. Yeah, and bikes. Yeah, but I mean, bikes. Yeah, they're not bad now. They don't have wooden wheels. And they actually have pedals, because the first ones, they had a seat and you ran. It's like a Fred Flintstone bike, but not quite as so crude. Anyway, that's enough. That's too much.